Okay, hello everyone. I'm so excited to be here today because I'm so excited about this.
I'm seeing faces everywhere. Are you seeing them now? With me?
And on and on.
Pareidolia.
And on.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so excited to have you both here.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
He's not done Instagram before. He just set up an account today. He's tried to get friends on there. He's just trying to get followers. And, you know, he's just been, you know, very sad, really.
Okay, then you have an exciting new short film, right?
We do
We
indeed.
do.
I have to say that I enjoyed it so much.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
very much. Like, I really hope that there's something else behind it, there's a second film, something, because it leaves you with that desire, right? So my first thought for you is how, when is this born?
Go on,
About
Stuart.
2 years ago, coming up, or was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? I came up with, well, I was doing another film, which has done quite well.
Suddenly, everyone has an opinion.
And they think it's okay to tell me their fucking opinion.
And then Diane Franklin, who's a friend of mine, who I've known for a very, very long time,
Oh,
she was going to come
okay.
over to do some events with myself. And I've always wanted to make a film with her, but she says she never does shorts. And we've got a badge and a poster that actually has her face that says, I never do shorts. But she said, I will do it if it's with you and the script is really good. And I said to my lovely wife, Jen, I said, I want to work with someone completely different. This has to be serious. Because all the other films I've done have been good, but they've been a bit comical and a bit quirky.
I understand.
And we'd met Aaron many years before at my gallery. I used to have a gallery and we used to put on all these dark exhibitions, but also have guests from cult films come along. We had Mark Patton from Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
You've got the body. I've got the brain.
That's where I first met a very young and ginger and very slim Aaron Truss, that's his favourite film, or one of his favourite films. So we did lose contact for a while. And then I did my film festival 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, and he submitted his film, The Understudy.
Howdy, hi, Hillarites. It's your boy Hillary here. Sorry I haven't been around for a while. They've got me out in Wales or something doing Night of the Cannon, which opens tomorrow night. He knows. He knows, Jack. He's looking at you.
My wife said, well, why don't you phone him up and see if he'd be interested? So I phoned him up and he said, oh, yeah, I was going to contact you anyway about the Rob Knox story. Would you like to show it at the cinema museum? I said, well, yeah, we would, but I want to talk to you about this. I've got Diane Franklin coming over. I just want to do a little short film, maybe a monologue, because I live in a 500-year-old cottage in a medieval village.
Okay.
And with a big fireplace and everything. And it was just going to be her sitting in front of my chair, or my big pink chair here, just doing a monologue of a ghost story. And he said, well, I think I can come up with something a bit better than that.
You've seen a dead body before, I take it?
Comes with the job.
I grew up in the VHS sort of, not Stuart's era of VHS tapes where there was no certificates or anything like that. It was, everything was either an 18 or a 15 or etc.
Yeah.
But I grew up with Return of the Living Dead, A Nightmare on Elm Street, all on VHS, and to me that that was scary. When we live in an analog age, you know, everything's all digital now, and you can stream everything, like Stuart was saying. There was something creepy about analog. I've always had a huge respect for Stuart because when I first met Stuart, and he was running the Mr. Moon Gallery, to me it was like Disneyland because, and here was a guy with a huge Johnny Bravo quiff, corduroy jacket, and a Nightmare Before Christmas badge, and he's running a gallery. Yeah, he used to have that. And it just, I was like, this guy is living the dream. He's working with some incredible, you know, people from 80s and 70s horror movies, and he's just walking around with Mark Patton, and they had the Freddy glove there. I think they had a Jason mask.
You mentioned that glove in another interview.
Yeah, I think it was the Cult of VHS interview we did, and I said I was going to see it.
He even has, and I'm very jealous of this, he has an original Freddy Krueger glove from the Dream Master, I think, and it's signed by Robert England, and he was showing me yesterday. So I intend to burgle him at the earliest opportunity. I know where he lives.
I wanted to ask you about this film. What is, because there are a lot of different concepts, and I don't want to give away anything so people truly enjoy it when they watch it. But what would you say is the main message, the main thought of this film? Because there are many of them. Like give us
the money to make a feature. That's what I was hoping for, the main message. That's my
Okay, the second one then.
Okay.
The second thought.
I think the message, the overall message is it's quite a thinker actually, because in my father's mind when writing the script and when I was script editing on it, one of the things we wanted to play on was the idea of, did I just see what I thought I just saw? Or no, it was, but we wanted to put doubt into viewers' minds, into the audience's minds, because all these little things we take for granted when we look at a cloud that's shaped like a dog, or even Jesus on a dog's ass, as is quoted from the film from Carolyn Pickles.
I thought of that.
Yeah,
in that moment of the film,
there's actually,
I exactly thought that.
There's a meme on Google, not that I would encourage anyone on here to go type in Jesus on a dog's ass, because it will come up. We wanted to play around with the fear, or to play around with something that was absolutely completely ordinary to everyday people, and then work out how do we make that scary. And I think the idea that something could stalk you, that could follow you when you're, just getting up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, and you see in the corner of your eye when you walk past a room that's and the lights are off, and that's happened to me plenty of times. And I even though I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that, for some irrational reason, I still leg it like a sprinter to the toilet or to the kitchen and turn every light on in the house, announce my presence, because no one can fuck with me if the lights are on. There was a lot of ideas that we wanted to do, but because of time and budget restraints, we didn't end up doing it, which was we were quite inspired by Mike Flanagan, and I think anything Mike Flanagan does is just pure genius. A Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, and I know that if you were to go back, and I'm sure everyone knows this, if you were to go back and watch Haunting on Hill House, if you look in the background, you can see actors dressed up as ghosts, not actually having anything to do with the scene, but it's sort of out of focus, and that really screwed with me, because I watched it for the first time, and then our visual effects guy Nacho, he showed me a YouTube video and he showed me the breakdown of the scenes from Haunting on Hill House, and I just thought, oh, that's terrifying, that's brilliant. And they didn't announce it or play up to it. They just left them in there, whether or not it's a hand that comes into shot or something like that. And I would have loved to have played with that in the short film, but of course that requires more actors, that requires more makeup, that requires more setups. But the location of Robertsbridge, the cottage, Scrim Cottage, is actually quite small. I don't know if you feel that when you watch it. We probably had about 20 people bang their head in doorways, and but I banged my head, especially when we were shooting the scene on the stairs with Diane Franklin with the torch. I was going to shit myself because I thought, we've turned all the lights off. She's at the top of the stairs with a torch. All it takes is one trip and a fall, and she's going to land on the entire crew at the bottom of the stairs. And you're going to have it's going to be like the car scene in Blues Brothers, where all the cars crumple on top of each other. And I thought, I'm not going to say anything, and I'm going to do. And I think I was sort of. I know James Dean, our DOP. I think he was sort of hunched over the camera and monitor to make sure it looked good. And then I'm doing some sort of cross-legged thing with my legs through the tripod, sort of squished up. Yep, that shot looks good. Okay, Diane, walk up the stairs, turn the light on, turn the light off. And it was, I'd never bent so much in my entire life. Yeah? And the bit where Diane Franklin's walking through the living room, we set up, and I remember showing Stuart this on the monitor beforehand. I don't even think we needed a monitor for this, but we put a light outside in Stuart's garden. It's called a moonlight. I've forgotten what type of lamp it is, but we directed it into the house, so it had that nice John Carpenter-esque feel, like moonlight. And in real life, in England, moonlight doesn't really impact us in the autumn or whatever, so it felt like the moon was quite close, and that was brilliant as well. But yeah, in terms of a message, it was mainly not a message but a warning. We wanted to sort of take something that people took for granted every day and turn it on its head and make it scary, which I think a true horror film should do, like Nightmare on Elm Street, turning your dreams against you, things like that. Jaws, you're afraid to go in the water, even though it's a normal thing to do.
One of the things that comes to my mind when I picture you all that producing all of this and in the scenes, did you have any kind of difference between you when it comes to this kind of atmosphere, where the psychological horror of that you've seen something in the corner of your eye or a shape, like did you have different visions?
The worst thing I've seen here, though, and I'm still having therapy for it, was last July, not July gone, but just before we were setting up film, we were doing a recce, and it was one of the hottest days of that year. And our fat director decided to try out this green screen suit, and I will send you the photograph of this. And he looked, it looked awful. I'm still having to have therapy for it. It was, and you will once you see these pictures. It was like an alien dildo. That's what he looked like.
I just remember you saying, "You're getting ball sweat all over my rug." I'm thinking,
yeah, and Camille, who was like his assistant, was there with one of these mini fans, putting it over, when he still had the hood on, over this, just in case he was going to bloody faint.
I wasn't doing it for a laugh. I was genuinely doing it because I wanted to do some visual effects testing for the end of the film.
He just couldn't wait to get this suit on. That was the thing. You could tell he was itching to get into it.
Yeah.
And I've had a photograph, a 10x8 made up for him to sign at the cast and crew screening.
We eventually got someone a lot slender, slimmer, and more German than me to perform.
And agile, and very agile.
Very agile, yeah. So everything I am not. So that worked in our favour, and we've got some behind-the-scenes footage of, because the entity, without spoiling it, it is an actor in a suit. But that's all I'll say. But it's definitely not me. It's not a fat entity. I remember after the second shoot with Diane Franklin, I was here at home one day and I watched Smile for the first time. And Yes, yeah. So, and I'd never seen it before, and I love Smile. It was the first horror film that made me switch the light on, and it was at that moment in the kitchen where she's making herself a glass of water, and she looks over and there's no sound. And that was the first thing I spotted, and I thought, oh my God, there is no sound. This is brilliant, because I'm waiting for something, the anticipation. And I stopped the film and I ran back to my office, and I took out all the music, I took out everything, and went, okay. And I remember texting or calling Stuart and saying, oh my God, Smile, they've got it completely right. We're too loud. We need to play with the silences in the film and play with the type of music. And the music that you finally hear in the film by Infraviolet, by Toby and Bethany, is absolutely incredible. And I'm really proud of them, because the brief at first was to come up with something that was a bit of an homage to Carpenter, John Carpenter's music.
It'll be morning soon. Halloween morning.
And then midway through production, I stopped them and went, can you make it sound like Smile as well? And what we ended up having was something that does sound like both. It does sound like John Carpenter's Smile. The development of the feature is pretty much handing over the baton from my dad to me, in terms of where he saw it going, how he would have expanded it, and trying to be delicate about it, because it's his IP essentially, it's his idea, and now he's trusting me to do it right. And because I know my dad quite well and where we would go with it, it's making sure that we can do Dad's idea, but also I want to do my idea as well, because if I'm going to write it, I'm going to want to be able to tell the story of where I think it should go as well. We've got
really, what you need to do is keep your dad's concept, but build on that concept and on the universe.
Yeah,
as long as he's happy with it. But and that's what it should be.
He's created a bunch of characters that are fantastic, that I don't want to retcon in any way or dismiss so easily. But then there's characters that new characters that have actually come into the fold. I can't say anything about it so far, because it wouldn't be right to do so at this point.
Okay, I want to ask you, what is the message for the audience?
Enjoy it and get spooked. And get spooked. My message is you don't know what is behind you.
Okay.
It's normally Stuart.
Yeah.
But no.
Or Aaron in a green gimp suit.
Yeah, that was scarier than the film, I think.
I will send you those pictures in a minute. I tell you, they're
they're quite revealing.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie.
But my thing is, you don't know what's creeping up behind you in anything in life. You never do.
Then thank you so much for being with me today, and keep me updated on everything. Okay,
we will promise.
And I would love to come on October.
I'll send you all the details in a minute.
Yes, please. I would love to come. Yes.
All right, then.
Fantastic.
Okay.
See you later, everyone.